I'm going to read this book, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I'm trying to encourage kids to read books. And it's a good start. For any age, go read a book. It's good for you. For every who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch who lived just north of Whoville did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head was just screwed on just too tight. Screwed on just not just right. It could be perhaps the shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all maybe have been his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, grouchy frown at the warm, lightened windows below on their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging the mistletoe wreath. They're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a snare. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find a way to stop Chris from coming, for tomorrow he knew. For the Who girls and boys, who would wake up brightly early, they'd rush around with their toys, and then, oh, the noise. That's one thing that he hated, the noise. Then the Who's young and old was sent down to a feast. They would feast and they'd feast. They would feast. They would feast on Who pudding, the Where's Who's roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand the least. And then they would do something he liked the least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together, the Christmas bells ringing. They would stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. They would sing and sing. They would sing. They would and then the more the Grinch thought of this Christmas, of the Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for the 53 years I put up with it now, I must stop Chris from coming, but how? And then he got an idea. What an awful idea, the Grinch. What a great, wonderful, awful idea. I knew just what to do. The Grinch laughed, and his throat. He made a quickly Santa Claus hat and a coat. He crinkled and cuckled. What a great Grinchy trick! With his coat and hat, I just look like Santa Nick. And all I need is reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since the reindeer's scarce, there was no one to be found. But then I stopped the old Grinch. Now the Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So I called his dog. He called his dog Max. Then he took some red thread. He tied a big horn on top of his head. Yeah. Oops. There we go. All right. And then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks and a ramshackle sled, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, "Giddy up!" The sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's laid as dues in their town. All the windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. The Who's were dreaming of sweet dreams without a care. When he came and saw the little house on the square, he stopped. This is stop number one. The old Grinchy claws hissed and climbed above the roof with empty bags in his fist. And then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch. But if Santa could do it, then the Grinch could. So could the Grinch. Let me read this over again. Then he slid down the chimney, rather tight pinch. But if Santa could do it, then so can the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out the fireplace, flew. There were for little Who's stockings hung in a row. Their stockings he grinned for the first things to go. And then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room. He took every present: pop guns, bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorns, and plums. He stuffed them in the bags, and the Grinch very numbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. And Who's are still asleep. Then he slunk into the icebox. He took the Who's feast, the Who's pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned the icebox as quick as flash. Why, the Grinch even took the last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed the food up the chimney with glee, and now he grinned the Grinch, "I will stuff up the tree." The Grinch grabbed the tree, and as he started to shove, and he heard a small sound like a coo of a dove. He turned round fast. He saw the little Cindy Lou, who was not more than two. The Grinch had been caught by a tiny Who daughter who had got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking the Christmas tree? Why?" But, the old Grinch was smart and so slick, he thought he up a lie and he thought that it would Thought it up quick. Why? More little sweet tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There is a light on this tree that won't light. No, on one side, but I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here. So his fib through the little child, then he patted her head, and he got her drink, and he sent her back to bed. Then Tinny Lou, who got to bed with and her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed up the tree. And then the last thing he took was a log from the fire. Then he went up the chimney himself. The old liar on the walls. He had left nothing, but it looks like some wire. No one could speak of food. And then he left the house. He climbed up as even small for a mouse. Was a crumb not even small enough for a mouse? See no mouth right there? Squeak, squeak. Then he did the same thing the other Who houses, leaving crumbs much too small for other Who mouses. Then it was a quarter past dawn. The Who is still in bed. The Who is still a snooze. He packed up the sled of the presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, the tinsel, the trimmings, and the trappings. Then thousands of feet up let me read this. Then 3,000 feet up the side of the crumpet, he rode his load up top the tree tip top and dumped the poor pooh the Who's who had grinchily humming there, finding out how that Christmas was coming. They were just waking up. I know I know just what they will do. Their mouths will hang open for a minute or two. The Who's down in Whoville will cry boo-hoo. Then a noise grant the Grinch. Then he just simply must hear. Just he paused. Then the Grinch put his hand to his ear. Then he heard a sound rising over the snow. It started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why was the sound sounded merry? It could be so, but it was merry, very. He started on the Whoville. Grinch popped his eyes, and they just shook. Then we saw a shocking surprise. For every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, this was singing without a prejudice at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from humming. It came. Somehow the other it came just the same. And the Grinch with his Grinch feet ice cold and the snow sounded puzzling. How can this be so? Without the ribbons, and it came without tags, without the packages, boxes, or bags, and he puzzled for 3 hours until his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't had before. Maybe Christmas was thought, does it come from a store? Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more. Then what happened then? Well, the Whoville, they said the Grinch's small heart grew three sizes that day. The minute his heart didn't feel quite as tight, he whizzed his throat through the bright morning light, and then he brought the toys and the food and the feast, and he good artwork too. We're almost done. He himself, the Grinch, called the roast beast. The end. Was that a good story or what? Now you go check this book out at the library. Dr. Seuss, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Peace. Merry Christmas. Love each other. And don't forget, the real reason of Christmas is not just the presents and the gifts underneath the tree, but it's about Jesus' birthday, his birth, and the love for Jesus. It's not about the food, it's about the family, the friends, and love for Jesus. That's what Christmas is all about. The birth of Jesus Christ, one who died on the cross for our sins. That's what Christmas is all about. Jesus' birth. We should celebrate that. That's what Christmas is all about. Not about the decorations, not about the food, not about the present beneath the tree, not even Santa Claus. It's about the birth of Jesus. So go love Jesus and love your friends and neighbors. And have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Peace out.